So what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Ian Explains, and this week I'm going to tell you a little story. Yeah, that's right, I'm going to tell you a story about how I met your mother. That is what we're talking about this week. There's a whole bunch of you that didn't watch the show and you're just screaming, I watched Friends, what's the point? Well, you're not wrong. It's pretty much the same, and I'm going to walk you through how it's pretty much the same. So we got Ted. He's more or less the main character. He's the guy who's explaining to his kids how he met their mother. Some things you need to know about him. He's hopeless romantic. So no matter what, he's always looking for like the big fairy tale ending with the wedding and the kids and the house. But I don't understand how he can get there when he constantly has what I call Ted Mosby hair, which is a kind of bad haircut that's nothing but messy. And he's like, yeah, that looks good. I'm gonna go out and talk to ladies like this. But he even has that hair. When he grows up, it's just slightly more adult and kind of grayed. I'm gonna chalk him up as kind of the group's Ross. He hasn't had 3 failed marriages, but he's had a whole bunch of failed girlfriends. Then you have his best friend, Marshall, who is a ginormous lawyer from Minnesota. He's married to Lily, who we'll talk about in a minute. Just based on what I could see from that, he's pretty much like the Chandler-Phoebe hybrid. Kind of eccentric, kind of just sarcastic and dry. It varies from day to day. See, then we'll talk about Lily for a second here. I don't have much to say about her because I really don't like her. She dipped out on Marshall, who is probably the best dude in the world that she could ever want in season 2 because she wanted to go be an artist. She comes back, sure, but she comes crawling back and it's really awkward. And the way that she treats everybody, she's definitely the Monica of the group. So now we have Robin, and she's actually the girl at the very beginning of the entire series that Ted spots from across a bar right when he starts telling the kids the story. So for the first little bit, they kind of set her up to be the mom, and then they shoot that down. They're like, nah, Robin's not the mom. That's not what this is about. She's Canadian, and they make fun of her constantly for it, just like, oh yeah, what would you know there, eh? Yeah, so she became a news reporter after spending her teenage years as a pop star. She hung out in Canada as Robin Sparkles and made a bunch of songs about hanging out at the mall. If I had to compare her to anybody from Friends, she's definitely the Rachel. So now let's move on and talk about the one, the only, Neil Patrick Harris, Barney Stinson, one of my favorite characters in this whole show. How can you not love him? He's shenanigans in a suit. That's his whole thing. He wears suits, he has money, he never tells you what his job is. Oh, and if it's a girl, he's gonna sleep with it. You can argue that there's some things to be ashamed of his character, and that's the point. Isn't that he's supposed to be the wholesome guy. He's the Joey. He's the Joey. Instead of like, how you doing? He has a playbook. He's like, all right, how am I going to get that girl? I'm going to make a painting of myself and go stand at an art exhibit. And then when a girl comes up to ask me about it, I'll be like, surprise, it's me. And we'll do it furiously and I'll love it. Later in the series, Robin and Barney get together and they get married and it looks like it's going to be happily ever after. But then Robin gets really into her career and she's globetrotting and they're just not having a good time. And their marriage just isn't really working out. So that's when she goes to Barney and she's like, look, we had a good run. I think it's time to call it quits. And Barney is heartbroken. And he doesn't want to show it, but he goes on what he calls a perfect month. 30 girls, 30 days, no getting shot down ever. But this leads to him having a little girl because number whatever gets pregnant. And you have all this character development for Barney. And then when Robin breaks up with him, when she shuts down the marriage, he falls right back into who he was. And then he has a daughter, and that shoots him right back into where he needs to be. Barney is just one of the coolest dudes. Honestly, all he wants to do is have friends. So now, if you're following along, you should know everybody's names. So we're just going to go in here. I'm going to give you kind of an idea of what's going on in the show. They hang out at McLaren's pub all day, every day. And I think they even make the same joke that Friends did. I don't know why our boss hates us. Probably because you're not at work at 12:30 on a Tuesday. The real heart and soul of this show is Ted Mosby and his girlfriends. And he has some crazy girlfriends. He really only has 3 that show up and like stick around. And those would be Victoria the baker. She runs off to Germany. Then after that, he's all heartbroken and he gets a bad tattoo and he meets Stella. It's really just Elliot from Scrubs. She had a breakdown and had to move cities. And so she changed her name and had a daughter. That's really all you needed. Same character. And then after that, Elliot actually leaves him at the altar and that really screws him up. See the Ross comparison there. They weren't marriages, but they already failed. Then he meets Zoe, who's just this like trophy wife for this rich sailor guy. All she wants to do is protest and be in the way. And Ted hates it, but then he's into it. And then they fight a lot. It was bad. Those are the 3 big ones, and then after that, they're at Robin and Barney's wedding where he meets the mom, but then after that, the mom dies because we spent 9 seasons trying to figure out who the mom was, and they're like, psych, we're just trying to still set you up with Robin. Get over yourselves, TV show, you're bad and you should feel bad. Angry. Still. So that has been me explaining how I met your mother. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget, leave us a suggestion on what we should do next time around. Tell your friends what's going on. I'd love to see more people, and I always love to hear from you. So like, comment, subscribe, call your mom, make good choices, and I'll catch you guys next week.